something different.
Exactly.
Right? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Yeah. Good to see you.
Oh, thanks.
No. Well, this is like a family
Check.
friend with mom and like it's more mom. It's like the Dempseys. They're really like I'm friends with them, but it's not like I don't think it was a large enough wedding for them to. They're just mostly enjoying New York and then I think the wedding. It seems like they're.
That's good. At least they don't have this weather. I'd be glad to sit down.
Debbie and Pam are going to join us here.
I'm glad somebody's sitting next to me. Somebody to talk.
And you know that
I'll sit on that. No rabbis.
I'm sure she gave you the whole.
I think yeah, this is a
You've,
couple times.
okay.
The only time.
Feel free to join with us. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's an honor to invite Elaine Newman to share announcements with us before we begin our services.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Debbie Rosen's family for sponsoring her young birthday tonight. It's her special birthday, but it's her young birthday. Thank you for Noah, Kenner Noah Fromson. Welcome, thank you. The gift shop's going to be open this Sunday from 9 until noon. Jewish-Muslim Dialogue is next Thursday, May 4th at 7 p.m. at Temple. Stewart's Caring Place Hope Walk and the Akron Interfaith Hunger Walk are both next weekend, so please consider walking or making a donation if you haven't already. There's going to be a lunch and learn with Rose Hill and Gordon Memorial Thursday, May 11th, so come and find out some information about that topic. And then, of course, Temple at the Troubadour is May 20th, so if you haven't RSVP'd, please do. The first deadline is May 6th. We'll go a couple days past that. And then Mitzvah Day is June 3rd to 4th. You can sign up with a project, and I think Art Krakauer is here. I saw him somewhere. Oh, there he is. So you can go right to Art Krakauer or sign up online. Shabbat Shalom.
So Officer Detective Muncie just told me he got his tickets for the Troubadour, and so I think we should start. If we sell enough tickets, he's going to do a solo with Ken or Kathy. It'll be a whole new role. He'll have moved from the very back of the house all the way to the front. He'll be. That's right. It's a great honor to have Debbie on the bima with her daughter Pam in honor of her birthday. And to have, as many of us watch and participate in services from home, to have the rest of your family, I believe we can wave to them through the TV, because those who couldn't make the trip here tonight are watching from home, as we love to honor and celebrate with people. It's one of the great joys of Jewish tradition is that we come together. We come together at the tough times, and we come together at the good times. And that deep belief in having a minyan, of being surrounded by community to celebrate, is a wonderful, wonderful joy for us. And so it's our privilege to invite you and your daughter to come light our Shabbat candles and lift up our Kiddush wine as we join in our blessings, page 2, and then on pages 4 and 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We turn to page 5 for Kiddush as we raise a glass.
Do this one a cappella then. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kinishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikrae kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen.
We'll be offering a blessing at the end of the service over Debbie and celebrating with her after our service, so we invite you all to join us for that as well. Page 6. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. And may this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We begin with the words of Hine Matov, page 10, as we share these words that we are so glad to be able to be here together to share in Shabbat with one another. Page 10 at the top.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Turn to page 20 in our prayer books. The words of Lakado D we share them every week. There's a tradition of going outside before you share these words, and there are some, especially Hillels on college campuses. Every week of the year, no matter where they are, and no matter what the weather is, at this point in the service, they all line up and everybody goes outside, and if you're in the snow or you're in the 80-degree heat, you say that you are ready to enter and be in the sanctuary for Shabbat. We won't go outside tonight. But it is that time of year that nature is calling to us as the world is turning greener, as baseball has started, and, well, for us, basketball has ended. It's time for us to take note of how big our world is and make this space an extension of that outside world. To make sure that we come into this space, find a sense of peace, a change in the pace of our life, so that when we exit this sanctuary tonight and go out into our week, that we know how blessed we are to be a part of this community. Page 20, the words of Lakado D. Instead of going outside at the last stanza, we'll turn and face our door as if we're going outside, and welcome Shabbat into our sanctuary.
Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di dodi, Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'letchila. Lechado di dodi, Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, Ki mekor habracha, Rosh michedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machavat chila. Lechado di dodi, Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi uri, shir daberi, Kavod Adonai alayich nigla. Lechado di dodi, Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise as we face our entrance to the sanctuary or to your home.
Ohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala,
Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Lecha dodi likrat kala,
B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Remain standing, page 26, Hatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitgadal shemei rabba, ve'amad yivrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'vchayedecho beit Yisrael, bagala bagala u'vizma'an kariv, ve'imeru amen, yehi shmei rabba mevorach, Le'olam ulal me'amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Vitbar, Vitroman, Vitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemei Dekudesha Berichu, Le'elamim Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damiran Be'alma, Ve'imeru, amen.
Our call to worship, page 28, Baruch Hu.
I can't catch up to you, Josh. Got too many pages here. Lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed
Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach she'arim uvitvuna meshaneh itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who speaks the evening into being, opening gates, altering time, changing the seasons, but most importantly allowing us to notice how the world changes before us. Let us continue to take note of those changes, to see the blessings in our world, the way in which things go from bad to good in our lives. May we take note of them. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. May we see on this evening the blessings that are before us. Page 32. Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavita, Amcha ahavita, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lima ונזמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Pages 34 and 35, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta
You can be seated if you'd
et
like.
Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובתחומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
A colleague and friend, Rabbi Josh Weinberg, was in Israel with a number of American leaders this past week as Israel observed first Yom HaZikaron, Memorial Day, and then Yom HaAtzmaut, its celebration of independence. And he noted that whenever he's in Israel, he likes to buy the two most popular papers, the right-wing paper and the left-wing paper. He likes to read, just like some of us do, see what both sides are saying about whatever issues are most important at the moment. He said as he read the papers on his flight home that both papers posted for the 75th anniversary of Israel's independence its Declaration of Independence, so that essentially everyone in the country was reading this document. It's a document, unfortunately Israel doesn't have a constitution, as over these last months has become very much an issue. But its Declaration of Independence is a beautiful, aspirational document. We've shared it before, portions of it from this bima. It speaks of freedom of religion and freedom of speech and freedom to be cared for no matter what your background is, religiously or otherwise. It looks at Israel as a beacon for the world, and it declares that it'll be a place where freedom for the Jewish people will be protected so that anybody who faces anti-Semitism will always know that they have a place that will protect them. It is in some ways a modern version of the aspirational words that we share from the book of Exodus, Micha Mocha, that we believe that freedom is an inalienable right, something that we deserve and we pursue, and when we get it, we have to celebrate it. So we share these words, page 40. For the freedoms we have, for the freedoms that we continue to aspire towards, words of Micha Mocha from the book of Exodus, page 40.
Micha Mocha ba'elimado מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקעם לפני משה. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא.
Let there be love and understanding among us, God. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Page 42. Our prayer for peace on this evening, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. 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 O Adonai. Amen. 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 Amen, 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 O Adonai.
Page 46. Pray as if everything depended on God, but we remind ourselves to act as though everything depends upon us. We turn now to this series of prayers that call upon our ancestors and call upon us. Page 46, please rise for our Amidah.
Adonai
Sefatai tiftachu fi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your
praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekoneh Hakol, Bezocher Haste Avot V'imaot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'nehem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיה אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. On page 57. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. You are with us, God, in our prayer. So too, you're with us in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence, to do your will. You remain the still clear voice within us. So when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and we ask that that is where we find you, along with courage and insight and endurance. Let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. Shalom Rav, page 60, our prayer that the most abundant source of peace finds its way to every corner of our earth. Page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol Shah Bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Take a few moments for our own personal prayers.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
Shabbat Shalom. When I was in rabbinical school, I worked at a Jewish summer camp for the first time in Northern California, and one of the great experiences was the 30 to 40 young Israeli men and women that they brought over to be counselors to these young American kids. And one day, every session, they declare it Yom Yisrael, the Israel Day. So they never tell the kids, because it's always fun to surprise kids with stuff. So they never tell the kids when it's going to be Yom Yisrael. What happens is, early in the morning, before they would normally wake up, all of the Israeli counselors on camp would be dressed in their uniforms, their army uniforms that they bring with them, and they run around and they bang pots and pans and they wake everybody up and they tell them to get out of bed and they're going to the army today. And they go and they do all these drills and they get them all excited and they do all sorts of things throughout the day. And the Israelis can't wait for this day at camp. It's their one day in this American environment where they get to bring Israel fully into camp and make it feel like you're living on the other side of the world. And so for days after the kids have gone to bed, they've been planning these activities late at night while everybody's sleeping. And when the day comes and they get everybody up and they start these activities, this first time that I got to experience it, at lunchtime I heard from some of the kids. They didn't like it. Because what they knew of Israel was that there were always these wars happening. And what they knew of Israel was that sometimes you go to the grocery store and there's a bomb. And now it's Israel Day and they see the army coming. Why is this what we have to do? Meanwhile, the Israelis are so deeply proud that they serve in the Israeli military and the IDF. They want to share that pride with these young American kids who have no sense of what it means, more than likely, to serve your country in the military, and why that's such a point of pride for them. And so the message was missed. Holidays in our tradition have a very particular purpose. The purpose of a Jewish holiday is to be countercultural. It's to take a day and do something different than what you normally would do. It's to break your daily routine and make you think differently on the days that follow. Hopefully, it'll carry for the whole year. In other words, Yom Kippur is not a day, it's not the only day that we ask for forgiveness, but it's the day where we remind ourselves what it feels like to ask for forgiveness so that the rest of the year, maybe we'll do that a little bit more. The challenge that we had at camp that year was the Israelis thought they were doing something different when actually they were doing something exactly the same. They were coming at the kids and showing them exactly what they thought Israel was every day. And what they needed to do was show them exactly how different Israel is from what they understood. And so I want to do a little bit of that tonight. Too often, we're obsessed with Israeli politics. We're looking at what is blowing up literally or figuratively over there in a part of the world that we care deeply about. We're worried about conflict. And not enough are we learning about what's happening in Israel that no one talks about. And so let me start long before Israel was a state. There's an entry in Theodore Herzl's diary. He posted it as Shavuot 1895. Theodore Herzl was the father of Zionism. And he started this campaign by writing a novel in, I think, 1903. And so before he wrote that novel, he, of course, had the idea to write the novel. This is where he had that idea. He journaled about it. Here's what he wrote. I have been occupied for some time with a work which is of immeasurable greatness. It has the appearance of a gigantic dream. But for days and weeks, it has filled me, saturated even my subconscious. It accompanies me wherever I go. It looks over my shoulder. It intoxicates me. What it will lead to, I don't know. But my experience tells me that it is something marvelous, even as a dream, and that I should write it down. For if the romance does not become a fact, at least the fact can become a romance. And he wrote next to it, title, The Promised Land. He had a dream. He didn't know. He knew it was good. He didn't think it would become reality, but he thought maybe it'll be a good book. So, what would he think now? It happened. His elevator speech for Zionism was one sentence. He wrote in his later writings, trying to make the case publicly for Zionism, he said, what we want is for sovereignty to be granted to us over a portion of the globe that's adequate enough to meet our rightful national requirements as a Jewish people, and we will handle the rest. In other words, he said, you want Zionism? You want to know what Zionism wants? Just give us some land. In fact, at the time that he was writing, they were debating whether it was going to be in Argentina or whether it was going to be in what we know as the State of Israel. And he didn't really care that much. He said, give us some land, we'll do the rest. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to build roads. You don't have to build buildings. You don't have to build hospitals. We will do the work, but we need land. So here we are, 130 years later, 75 years into the existence of his dream. What could we tell him? We could tell him that the state of Israel exists in the ways he dreamt of and in ways that he could have never imagined. The state of Israel is now the size, Theodore, of New Jersey, or he was European, so I looked it up. It'd be the size of Wales. It has a population just over 9 million, 25% smaller than the state of Ohio, or the same population as Herzl's native country of Hungary. It has a self-sufficient army, cosmopolitan cities, high-speed rail, a flourishing mix of cultures, especially from across the Jewish world. Unfortunately, as he declared it would, it has not put an end to anti-Semitism in the world, but it has been the beacon to those who needed a safe haven at any time in the 75 years since it was created. And those people include hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian Jews, people we didn't even know were on the map when he was writing his book, and now over 1 million Russian citizens of Jewish descent. At the time that the Russian immigrants were being welcomed in the 90s, Israel's population was just under 6 million. They welcomed 1 million of them. Imagine Ohio welcoming 1 million new immigrants. We'd probably welcome it first. But 1 million new people in a state the size of New Jersey with a smaller population than our own home state. Israel has figured out a way to balance every flavor of Jewish life and create new ones. Ironically, it doesn't operate like a European country that was planted into the Middle East. We saw that happen in all sorts of countries around the Middle East. They essentially became satellites of the country that colonized them. They spoke French, they spoke German, they spoke English. They built buildings and universities that looked like European buildings and universities, but not in Israel. In Israel, they built it to be Middle Eastern, and they didn't take Yiddish, they didn't take German. They revived the Hebrew language. They created a Middle Eastern state for European and non-European Jewish people all over the world. And it became the hub of Jewish life, with now the majority of Jews in the world residing in the state of Israel, even though diaspora Judaism is arguably as strong as it's ever been in world history. In other words, while there have been plenty of moments of anti-Semitism, the worst moments of anti-Semitism predate the state of Israel. Israel is not the most populated Jewish place on earth because everybody was fleeing everywhere else. It's the most populated Jewish place on earth because there was something to go there for and leave where you were. That's the stuff I think Herzl would actually not be too surprised to hear. Here's the stuff I think he'd have no way of dreaming about. Israel has revolutionized international aid. It's created teams at military precision who are able to, on a dime, leave the Middle East and show up on the scene when a soccer team is stuck in a cave in Thailand and be the first ones there, or a hurricane strikes Haiti. This small country has been able to create teams of people ready to move at any moment for a world crisis. And despite its size and population, it was ranked second in the world in innovation just a few years ago, and it continues to be the country with the most independently owned tech startups that are making over $1 billion. So I'm not talking about somebody who gets an LLC and works in their basement. The most tech companies making over $1 billion are in this small state in the Middle East. Perhaps more importantly, among all of these innovators and innovations, there seems to be, as some have written about, a trend in the types of innovations that come out of the state of Israel. They're innovations that have a conscience. And so it's not only, even though this is true, it's not only the app Waze that you use in your car, and it's not only the flash drive that you really no longer use because it's outdated now. Israelis revolutionized irrigation technology in 1959. 11 years after becoming a state, they innovated irrigation so well that it's now reproduced 15 billion times a year, allowing countries that didn't have access to water or irrigation or agriculture to now feed their population. It was an Israeli who invented a special set of eyeglasses for people who are visually impaired that allows them to see a video of what they could see otherwise if they weren't visually impaired. It was another Israeli who invented the stent for the heart that so many of us rely on. And by the way, none of this by accident. Because while Herzl had a dream and wrote a novel, Ben-Gurion declared that Israel had to invest in science and technology as a national security interest in order to be self-sufficient. In other words, this was intentional. When Israel became a state, the leadership said, if we are going to thrive, we have to have scientists that are at the top of their field, and he sent their best learners out around the world to come back and become innovators because they knew that would be the path to success. So too, Menachem Begin, who was prime minister later, insisted that Ethiopian Jews be brought to Israel even though no westernized Jewish culture would recognize their rituals. They'd been isolated for hundreds of years. He said they were Jewish, and that is what this state was built for. None of this is to say that Israel is better than other countries in the world. She has her strengths and her challenges like all places. But Herzl's dream of a country where Jewish people have autonomy and a safe haven from anti-Semitism was just the beginning. Author Noah Tishby, who recently wrote a book about Israel, wrote, "Israel contributes to the world disproportionately to its size." And that's something to be proud of. That was not necessarily Herzl's dream, but that has become Israel's reality. And with all that said, this small country with a population smaller than our own state is still very much in her adolescence. She is changing constantly, fighting internal and external battles constantly. She has, in fact, in 75 years, fought 15 wars. And she's just getting started and figuring out who she is. And so, as we celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut this week, we take a day to look at Israel differently than we do otherwise. Not to talk about prime ministers and decisions and courts and protests and conflict, but to say we have to celebrate all that's happening there too, to be proud of a dream that became a reality, to look at all that is happening there that we have to celebrate as a people. And so, may Israel be a light unto the nations as she already is. May she shine across our world and our universe. May she be a bright light. May she continue to be a home for all of those who seek refuge. And may she be a source of our joy and our compassion. Just as Joshua and his flock labored in that holy land, may our people continue to struggle, keeping Israel strong, as we are grateful for the gift of the land of Israel and grateful for the gift of peace that we hope is always within her borders. Amen. We'll turn now to our Torah service as I invite Elaine to help me open the ark. She missed doing it last week. As we'll take our Torah out, we'll walk the Torah around our sanctuary and share these words from what is called the Holiness Code. I'll explain it a little bit more when I go to read it. Please rise as we open our ark.
Ki mitzion tetze Torah, Ki mitzion tetze Torah, Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadalu Adonai Iti, Uneromema Shemo Yaktav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, V'hagevura, V'hatiferet, V'hanetzach, V'hahod, Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, Lecha Adonai amancha, V'amid naseh lechol erosh. Al shlosha devarim, Al shlosha devarim, Al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, Al shlosha devarim, Al shlosha devarim, ha'olam Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu
can be seated if you'd like.
וישתחוו להר קודשו.
It's an honor to invite Becky Danelski to share in the blessing over the Torah. Ta'amod, Rivka bat Gershon v'Shoshana la'aliyah leTorah. Make sure I get the right there.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So we're in a section called Kedoshim. We're getting towards, we're creeping towards the end of Leviticus here, and it's a section that it mimics the Ten Commandments. So I'm gonna skip around a little bit because it shares a little bit of the commandments, and then it talks about sacrifices, and then it shares a little bit more of the commandments. So we'll skip the sacrifice part. V'yadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el kol edat b'nei Yisrael. Adonai said to Moses, saying, "Speak to all of the people, all of the children of Israel. V'amarta alehem, and say to them." One of the best lines in all of Torah. Kadoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. You are holy because I am holy. I am Adonai your God. This is a line that there was a Jewish sports team once. They got headbands. They put this line on the headband. It was the coach made it a activity for them. He said, try to tackle the other player when they have I am holy because God is holy written across their forehead. Okay. Now this part, this is a good pop quiz part. So here's the first of the commandments. Ish imo va'aviv tir'u. We'll stop there. And then, so ish means a person. Imo va'aviv, his mother and his father, tir'u, he shall revere. So anybody want to guess what's the difference between anybody studied their Ten Commandments lately? Okay, so what's different? You should get this one. You're not going to be happy when you don't get this. Mothers come first in this one. The mother comes first. So in Leviticus, they put the mom first. You shall honor your mom and then your dad. And here it uses slightly different. You shall fear them. You shall, I said revere, but it's fear. You shall fear your mom and your dad. Ve'et shabtotai tishmeru. And you shall guard and protect my Shabbats. Ani Adonai Elohechem. They sort of take the Ten Commandments, they're summarizing them a little bit better here. We probably could have used this one better. El tipnu el ha'elilim ve'elohei maseicha lo ta'asu lachem. You shall not, do not turn towards idols and do not make molten images. Ani Adonai Elohechem, for I am Adonai your God. I'm going to skip a little bit of a section because this is another one. It's a great section. Again, I guess maybe I would say if I got to pick the Ten Commandments, nobody's asked me yet. But if I got to pick the Ten Commandments, I'd throw these in. Uvkutzarchem et ketzir artchem lo tachela pea sadcha. Well, it keeps going. Liktsur veleket ketzircha. Lo telaket. So, payas. You've heard of payas? So this is paya. So this is the law of payas. Payas, we know, perhaps unfortunately, too much from the sideburns that people have or the beards that they don't cut. But this is the actual law of payas. The law of payas is, paya is the corner. So the corner is the sideburn and the corner of your beard that you're not supposed to trim. It's symbolic because here it says, in your fields, do not trim the corners of do not glean or gather the food from the corners of your field. You are to leave them. And it continues. V'karmcha, and in your vineyards. Lo te'olel u paret karmcha. Don't pick the fruits in the vineyard. Lo telaket le'oni ulger ta'azovotam. You shall leave it for the poor and the stranger among you. You shall not you have a field of crops. You're lucky to have that. But the corners, which you could imagine are the corners of the parts where people are walking by, right? They don't go to the middle of your field. They go by the edge of your field. They're allowed to pull from the corners of your field. You're to never take those crops for yourself, which is why people don't cut the corners of their beards and their sideburns. Ani Adonai Elohechem, God says, I'm God again. Lo tignavu velo techakashu, don't steal and don't lie. Velo tishokru, and don't bear false witness. Ish be'imotav, one person against another. Velo tishavu, do not swear. Bishmi leshaker, don't swear by my name in vain. V'chilalta et shem Elohecha, for that is a sin against my name, essentially. Ani Adonai, I am Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I neglected to mention while Becky was up here that she became a grandmother again this past week of Noam Joe is Nikki and Simon's new son in Cincinnati, and we're waiting for another grandchild in the near future, closer to our synagogue. So many times for all the blessings, those blessings that you have in your life, for the health of new grandchildren and daughters giving birth, we wish upon everyone that strength and that health. And so for anybody who's seeking that health in this moment, we offer them Misha Berach, a prayer that their strength bring them back to their fullest self.
Of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
If there are names that you'd like to share, please share them as we look around the room. Please rise as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark.
Zota Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Ani Adonai v'yad Moshe למחזיקים בה ותומכך מאושר. דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיך שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Aleinu, page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו 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 אחד.
Please be seated. Take a moment to remember those within our community whom we've loved and lost. In these last weeks, our community remembers Francis Goldman and Laurel Gotthelf. We add to their names those that we lost at this season in years past: Rosa Aronson, Dr. Manuel Aronson, Miriam Bateman, Anne Feynman, Lena Friedman, Joseph Goldberger, Rachel Goodman, William Guggenheim, Alvin Isroff, Meyer Jacobs, Joyce Kroll, Edward Lassoff, Alexander Litvinsky, Frida Migdal, Richard Moss, Sanford Chip Page, Ruben Pliskin, Martin Polsky, Lillian Pergosin, Mark Samuel Rubin, Edmund Rothschild, Herman Schnittman, Carolyn Ann Sperber, William Teitel, Myrtle J. Volk, and Edith Zestrovskaya. If there are names I mispronounced or names you'd like to share, please share them. Did I mispronounce one? Say it. I never get it right. So what is it? Say it correctly. Okay. Where is it? Hold on. William Title. Sorry about that. Please rise, page 294. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Having connected with those that we've loved and lost, we connect with each other as we bless each other with the words of the priests.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai penav elecha v'chledecha.
May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai penav elecha v'yasen lecha shalom.
May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Amen.
Please be seated as we'll conclude our service with any particular blessings you've had in your life. If a couple people want to share, then we're going to offer a blessing over Debbie in particular. Are there any particularly good milestones or good events in the last week or in the week coming up that people want to share? Ken. It's wonderful. Yeah. Your granddaughter passed the bar. You're trying to one-up Ken. Can you let him have his... Good job. Yeah. Oh, you won Maj this week. Well done. How much did you win? That's the most important.
I don't know. My daughter came out with her 8th novel this week.
No way. 8th novel. Title? Do we have the title?
Park Avenue Glamour Girl.
Park Avenue Glamour Girl. On Amazon?
It's all over.
Everywhere.
Barnes and Noble.
Great.
Amazon.
Perfect. Leona. Oh, look at that. Great grandson turning 1. Well done. Lots of good things this week. Up. Yeah.
I think a lot of us saw a wonderful show last night.
Yitzhak Perlman was last night. I know a lot of people. How many people here are at Yitzhak Perlman? Yeah. He doesn't like snow? Yeah. Oh, well done. Good. Yeah, I heard who Ron was saying there was a big crowd. So for much like our holidays, we celebrate our birthdays, our milestones in our life. We celebrate them not so that we can have one day a year that we're celebrated, but rather so we can take a moment to honor all the days of the year where we celebrate the relationships in our life. And we know with Debbie, she's quiet. She doesn't take out. Maybe she's not quiet during Maj, but she comes in quietly and softly and doesn't like to be in the spotlight. She did accept being on the bima tonight, which was nice. But what we also know about you, Debbie, is that you have wonderful friendships that have been. They're deep friendships that you've had for many, many years through tough times and better times, and even more recent friendships. And we know that your kids adore you and wanted tonight to be a night where this community got to honor you. So I want to ask you to join me as we turn towards you and share the words of Shakianu, that we are blessed to have you, blessed to celebrate with you, and we hope there are many, many more times when we get to celebrate your birthday and your friendship. So please join me up here and let's all stand and share in the words of Shakianu for all of the good things in our life, and particularly on this evening for Debbie.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimayanu v'higianu hazman hazeh.
Hold the challah up for us? Do you want to give a speech? Did you want to give a speech? Let's join together in Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz
Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu.